What dark secrets could lead a respected sheriff and a hopeful young woman to cross paths in a story that ends in tragedy? And when the line between protector and suspect blurs, how do we uncover the truth? How was it a forbidden love that spiraled out of control, or was there something far more frightening lurking beneath the surface? In a small town where everyone knows each other, trust was everything. People believed in their sheriff. He was supposed to keep them safe. But then, a secret came to light. It was a relationship between this sheriff and a 19-year-old girl. A relationship that would lead to an unexpected pregnancy and, soon after, a shocking death. Then one night, a 911 call changed everything. How did it all come to this? Or was it a deadly mistake? Or was there more to this story than anyone knew? The story begins in 2022 in a small southern town known for its close community and traditional values. Here, Sheriff John Matthews had built a reputation over the years as a strong leader, firm, fair, and trusted by the people he served. For the townspeople, Sheriff Matthews was not just a lawman, he was a symbol of safety, a familiar face at local events, and a voice of authority in times of trouble. Then there was Destiny, only 19 years old. She was young, vibrant, and searching for her own path in life. She had recently graduated from high school and had dreams of a brighter future, but her circumstances were challenging. Growing up in a struggling household, Destiny often had to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. Despite their very different worlds, the sheriff and Destiny crossed paths one day at a community event. What started as simple conversations turned into something more, a hidden relationship that soon became the talk of the town. The relationship was secret, but it didn't stay that way for long. Rumors spread, and soon Destiny was pregnant, a revelation that caused scandal and whispers among the townspeople. Many wondered how a man of the law, a married father, could be involved in such a situation. Then, one cold night, everything changed. Destiny was found dead under mysterious circumstances. The sheriff's involvement shocked everyone, leaving many to question how far this forbidden relationship had gone and why it ended in bloodshed. Sheriff John Matthews was known for his decorated career. He had solved major cases, brought justice to countless victims, and maintained order in a town that relied on his authority. His reputation seemed untouchable. But when Destiny entered his life, the line between right and wrong blurred in a way no one expected. The sheriff claimed that his relationship with Destiny was consensual, just two adults who found themselves drawn to one another, despite the differences in age and status. But as investigators dug deeper, conflicting accounts began to emerge. Some described Destiny as a willing participant, infatuated with the power and charm of the sheriff. Others painted a different picture, a young woman who felt trapped, manipulated by a man who held all the power in their small town. Then came the news of Destiny's pregnancy, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the sheriff's family and the town. The sheriff's reaction was mixed, according to those close to him. While he was said to be anxious, some claimed he was ready to take responsibility. But there were whispers of something else, of tension, heated arguments, and even threats. Was this a secret love affair gone wrong? Or was Destiny's pregnancy seen as a threat to the sheriff's career, his marriage, and everything he had built over the years? The more investigators looked, the more questions they uncovered. Destiny Anderson's life was marked by hardship from an early age. Raised in a small, run-down apartment on the edge of town, she was the youngest of 3 siblings. Her mother worked tirelessly as a cleaner, but it was never enough to make ends meet. Destiny's older siblings had moved away, seeking better opportunities, leaving Destiny to shoulder much of the burden at home. From a young age, Destiny learned to fend for herself, picking up odd jobs, helping neighbors, and even babysitting to earn a little extra money. Despite the struggles, Destiny's mother always encouraged her to dream big. She would often remind Destiny that education was the key to a better future. Destiny took those words to heart, excelling in school and becoming known for her kind spirit and strong work ethic. She was voted most likely to succeed by her classmates, a symbol of hope in an otherwise challenging life. After graduation, Destiny planned to attend a local community college to study nursing. But reality soon set in. College costs were too high, and family responsibilities grew heavier. To support herself and her mother, Destiny had to work longer hours, putting her dreams on hold. That's when she first encountered Sheriff John Matthews. He was a frequent visitor at the diner, known for his late-night coffee breaks after his patrols. Their initial conversations were brief, small talk about the weather, town events, or how the night was going. Destiny found the sheriff's presence comforting, and soon their conversations became more personal. Sheriff Matthews, at 45, was a man who had achieved what many in the town considered to be a successful life. He was married, with 2 teenage children attending the local high school. His career in law enforcement had spanned over 2 decades, marked by numerous accolades and respect from the townspeople. But behind closed doors, his life was far from perfect. Rumors had circulated for years about trouble in the Matthews marriage. His wife, Lisa, was often seen alone at community events, and there were whispers about the sheriff's long hours and absence from home. Some described him as a man married to his work, while others speculated that his dedication was a way to escape personal problems. Yet these rumors remained just that, unconfirmed gossip. The sheriff's dedication to his job was undeniable. He had solved complex cases, brought criminals to justice, and was often seen as a hero in the community. But the weight of his responsibilities, combined with the strains of his personal life, created a void that Destiny unknowingly stepped into. As their conversations grew longer, the sheriff found himself opening up to Destiny in a way he hadn't with anyone in years. He spoke about the pressures of his job, the challenges of maintaining order in a town that looked to him for answers, and the frustrations of his personal life. Destiny, in turn, shared her own struggles, the constant balancing act of work and family, and the dreams she had put on hold. It was a connection neither of them had expected, and yet it was one that neither seemed able to resist. But this bond came with risks. Destiny was aware of the sheriff's position and his family, and she understood the consequences of being involved with a powerful man. Still, the attention was intoxicating for a young woman who had never felt truly seen before. For the sheriff, it was a dangerous mix of comfort and escape, a secret life that allowed him to feel alive again, even if it meant betraying the trust he had built over decades. As the relationship deepened, Destiny found herself facing a dilemma. Should she continue seeing the sheriff, knowing the risks, or should she try to end things before they spiraled out of control? The answer came in a form she hadn't anticipated: pregnancy. The news was both a shock and a source of hope for Destiny. For the first time, she felt a sense of purpose, imagining a future beyond the diner, beyond the small town. For the sheriff, however, the news was a different kind of shock. While he initially seemed open to the idea of supporting Destiny, the reality of a child threatened to unravel his carefully constructed life. He was torn between responsibility and self-preservation, a choice that would set the stage for a tragedy no one saw coming. It started with small gestures, friendly chats at the diner's counter, shared stories about their lives, and lingering eye contact. What seemed like harmless conversations soon turned into something deeper. Destiny, who longed for a sense of stability and guidance, found comfort in the sheriff's presence. Matthews, despite the clear age gap and the risk involved, felt a sense of excitement and companionship he hadn't experienced in years. With each passing week, their interactions grew bolder. Destiny began to meet the sheriff outside of her work hours, often in secluded spots away from prying eyes. They would sit in the sheriff's parked car, talking for hours about their lives and frustrations. Destiny felt a sense of validation and importance, while the sheriff found an escape from the burdens of his public role and crumbling marriage. The secrecy, however, was crucial. Both knew the risks. They were aware that discovery would lead to scandal, possibly destroying the sheriff's career and reputation. Yet the thrill of the forbidden made it hard for either to pull away. It was no longer just an affair. It was a lifeline for two people desperately seeking something more. As the months passed, Destiny's feelings for the sheriff deepened. She began to confide in him about her future, her dreams, and even her fears. Matthews, meanwhile, tried to maintain a balance between his professional life, his family, and his increasingly complex relationship with Destiny. But the delicate balance began to tip when Destiny discovered she was pregnant. Destiny's reaction was complex. She was both scared and hopeful. She knew this news would change everything. When she finally gathered the courage to tell the sheriff, the moment was tense. She approached him one evening in his car, her voice shaking as she revealed the truth. The sheriff's initial response was shock. Destiny later told friends that he seemed uncertain, struggling to grasp the reality of the situation. At first, he promised to support her, even suggesting that he could help financially. But as the weeks went by, Destiny sensed a change in the sheriff's demeanor. He became distant, avoiding her calls and meetings, as if grappling with the consequences of their secret affair now made painfully real. Destiny, feeling abandoned and vulnerable, reached out to the sheriff repeatedly, trying to find answers. Some who knew Destiny described her as scared and confused, unsure of how to handle the unexpected situation. Friends later recalled Destiny saying, "He's not the same anymore. He's avoiding me." Whispers of Destiny's pregnancy started to spread in the small town. The sheriff became increasingly paranoid about being exposed. His reputation, his family, and his career were all at risk. The pressure was mounting, and for the sheriff, the stakes had never been higher. Friends of Destiny noticed her growing anxiety. She confided in one close friend that she was scared for her future and unsure of what the sheriff would do next. Destiny even mentioned that she feared for her safety, but she never elaborated on why. There was this pregnancy a tipping point that turned a secret affair into something much darker. Did the sheriff see Destiny's pregnancy as a threat he needed to eliminate? As investigators would later find, the truth was buried under layers of lies, fear, and betrayal. When news of Destiny's death broke, the town was shocked. Almost immediately, opinions began to split. On one side were those who saw the sheriff as a respected officer of the law, someone who had served the community for years and could never be capable of such a crime. On the other side were those who believed that the sheriff had taken advantage of his power, manipulated Destiny, and was now trying to cover up his dark secret. Local news outlets quickly picked up the story, each with its own spin. Headlines ranged from beloved sheriff caught in scandalous affair to was Destiny's death, a cover-up by law enforcement. The media frenzy only fueled the town's division. As the investigation continued, more people came forward with their accounts. Some claimed that Destiny had tried to blackmail the sheriff, demanding financial support in exchange for keeping quiet about the affair and the pregnancy. These accusations painted Destiny in a different light, suggesting that she was using the sheriff's vulnerability for her own gain. However, others vehemently disagreed. They insisted that Destiny was not the type to resort to blackmail, describing her as a kind and trusting person who simply wanted a better life for herself and her unborn child. They argued that the sheriff's power and influence made it easy for him to shift the blame onto a young woman who could no longer defend herself. The deeper investigators dug, the more complicated the case became. Some of the sheriff's colleagues described him as manipulative, saying that he had a history of crossing ethical lines to get what he wanted. Others argued that Destiny was desperate and willing to do anything to escape her difficult life, including manipulating someone with influence. This division wasn't just about a murder case, it was about trust, power, and the complex relationship between a small town and its law enforcement. Was the sheriff a victim of a desperate scheme, or was Destiny another casualty of unchecked power? On the night of Destiny's murder, the small town was eerily quiet. She was last seen leaving her workplace, her shift ending late as usual. Destiny was planning to meet someone that night, but no one knew who. By morning, her body was found in an abandoned field just outside town, bruised, bloodied, and with clear signs of struggle. The discovery shocked the community, but the details were even more disturbing. At first, there was confusion about how Destiny had died. Initial reports suggested blunt force trauma, but later findings pointed to possible strangulation. The inconsistencies only fueled the mystery. Was this a crime of passion or a carefully planned act? Sheriff Matthews arrived at the scene shortly after Destiny was discovered. Witnesses described his reaction as controlled but tense. He claimed to be devastated by the news, but some officers noted his unusually detached demeanor, raising suspicions among a few who knew about his connection to Destiny. Within hours of Destiny's body being found, the investigation faced its first twist. Reports began circulating that the sheriff had deleted messages and calls from Destiny on his personal phone. When questioned about it, Matthews said he was trying to protect his family from embarrassment, claiming the relationship was over and that Destiny had been unstable in her final days. Forensic analysis of the crime scene revealed troubling details. Blood samples were found on Destiny's clothes, but there were no clear fingerprints or DNA matches linking the sheriff directly to her murder. However, a strand of hair matching Destiny's was found in the sheriff's car, a discovery he could not fully explain. Meanwhile, the sheriff's alibi was unraveling. He claimed to have been at home with his wife that night, but his wife's statement was vague, and there were inconsistencies in the sheriff's timeline. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed a car matching the description of the sheriff, the vehicle passing by around the time Destiny was last seen alive. The investigation hit a major turning point when a witness came forward, a woman who claimed to have seen the sheriff's car near the field where Destiny's body was found, just hours before police arrived. She described a man fitting Matthews' description getting out of the car, but it was too dark to confirm his identity. As evidence mounted, questions about a possible cover-up grew louder. Some believed that other officers might have helped the sheriff tamper with the investigation, protecting one of their own. Others wondered if Matthews was being framed, set up by someone who knew about the affair and wanted to ensure he took the fall. With public pressure rising, investigators pushed harder. A hidden phone was discovered in Destiny's apartment, a second phone she used specifically for communicating with the sheriff. Text on the phone painted a chilling picture. Destiny had recently tried to break off the relationship, claiming she felt unsafe and feared for her life. The sheriff's responses were desperate, pleading, and, at times, threatening. With this revelation, the case took on a new urgency. Was the sheriff's plea for one last meeting a desperate attempt to make amends, or was it the beginning of a fatal plan? Investigators now faced a crucial question: was Matthews acting alone, or did he have help in covering his tracks? The deeper they dug, the clearer it became that the truth was still buried beneath layers of lies, secrets, and possible corruption. As the investigation pressed on, more twists awaited, each one bringing the case closer to a shocking conclusion. As investigators dug deeper, certain details from earlier in the case began to take on new significance. Destiny's phone records, once considered just routine evidence, now revealed a suspicious call made shortly before her death. This call, traced to a burner phone linked to an anonymous buyer, lasted only a few minutes, but the timing was crucial, taking place less than an hour before she was last seen alive. Rumors from local sources also began to gain credibility. Residents had spoken about seeing the sheriff acting strangely in the days leading up to Destiny's death, restless, on edge, and unusually distracted during town meetings. At first, these observations were dismissed as speculation, but now they painted a picture of a man under immense pressure. Another detail that resurfaced was an unexplained injury the sheriff had when he was first questioned. He claimed he had hurt his hand during a routine patrol, but no report of such an incident existed. Now, investigators were re-examining whether the injury was related to a possible struggle with Destiny on the night she was killed. Even more revealing were the inconsistencies in the sheriff's early statements. He had initially claimed that Destiny had been emotionally unstable, hinting that she might have been capable of harming herself. But this narrative began to crumble as text messages from Destiny's second phone surfaced, messages that showed she was trying to distance herself from the sheriff, not get closer. Additionally, a seemingly irrelevant detail from earlier in the case now became crucial. A neighbor had reported hearing loud voices coming from Destiny's apartment 2 nights before she was found dead. At the time, it was considered unrelated noise, but now investigators wondered if it was the sheriff's voice pleading, perhaps even threatening. The sheriff's behavior during the investigation was also revisited. Witnesses recalled his defensive attitude, quick denials, and occasional anger when pressed about Destiny. At the time, it was attributed to stress, but now it seemed like more, a man trying to keep a story straight. Then there was the discovery of a note found in Destiny's journal, something that had been overlooked initially. The note was brief but revealing: "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." Written in Destiny's handwriting, this line now hinted at a deeper fear she had harbored in the final days of her life. As all these pieces came together, the investigation took on a new clarity. What had once seemed like scattered details now formed a haunting mosaic, a mosaic of secrets, lies, and power dynamics that may have led to Destiny's tragic death. As the investigation continues, the truth about Destiny's death is still unclear. The sheriff, once seen as the town's protector, now faces serious accusations. But there are still many unanswered questions. The evidence points in different directions, the witnesses don't all agree, and the real motive behind Destiny's murder remains tangled in secrets and lies. In this small town, where the sheriff's badge once stood for safety, it now raises doubts. Did the sheriff use his power to cover up a crime, or was he set up by someone with a different agenda? Was Destiny's death the result of a relationship gone wrong, or part of something deeper that the town doesn't want to reveal? The town is still divided. Some believe the sheriff's connections may have buried the truth, while others think Destiny's death might have been an accident. Only time will tell. Was justice really served, or was the truth hidden by the town's secrets? What do you think really happened that night?